My name is Steve Smith. This is TQA Weekly, and if ever you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. I don't want to take too long. Those who were at my blip.tv channel may have noticed that as of August 20th, 2013, Maker Studios, owned by Disney, originally started by Shay Carl on YouTube, sold for a lot of money, which bought blip.tv in 2013, shut it down because they were overshadowed by YouTube. Nobody's surprised. So if you are one of those blip.tv users that found me on YouTube wondering what the heck happened, well, just subscribe here instead or go to tqaweekly.com for other options that you can use for yourself. Now, this week's topic is all about disliked features in Windows 10. Not necessarily features you're going to use. These are features put into Windows 10 that are going to be used by Microsoft. So first of all, it's one of those free operating systems that is actually free if you had a working version of Windows 7 or 8.1. I'm going to say working version because pirated versions of it successfully updated to Windows 10 regardless. This means, like Facebook, you are currently the product and not the actual person shopping for a product. So don't be surprised about a bunch of these features coming up. So first of all, privacy or the lack thereof is a particular big issue for many users, as you might have been actually hearing a lot of people complain about the accessibility of data to Microsoft that it has granted itself under its end user license agreement. So make sure you read it. Anything that you type into Windows 10, anything that you ask of Cortana, anything you put into the searches, inputs, whatever, a whole bunch of information about how you're using the operating system, your hardware specifications, even the way the computers crash or what happens when there's updates failing are all being sent to Microsoft. Whether you turn a bunch of features on or off, it's still sending information to Microsoft. And while they say it's not personally identifiable, there is a unique ID that stays locked to you, and a bunch of this stuff includes keystrokes, which actually may include personally identifiable information. So supposedly we're supposed to trust them with our information. We all know hackers are a thing. At one point they're going to get sued, and they're already used to getting sued. So we're going to see this developed very, very nicely. But I would just like to point something out before anybody freaks the hell out. Websites have been doing this for many years. This is how we figure out how to put ads all over the place, how to deal with navigation, even how to deal with the way that we actually put information on a page. The amount of telemetry that can be accessed using various tools in an operating system or even your web browser would scare you to death. So, if you're using a gadget that's electronic, you keep it on you, in your hand, or around you, or even have one buried in you, you do not have privacy. End of story. Deal with it. If you want privacy, disconnect once in a while from all this electronics and make sure you can't be followed. That's it. Next, undesirable functionality, which I kind of like, but I don't like at the extent that it goes, is the fact that it no longer allows you to not update Windows. While I like the idea of forcing people not to update Windows, to not allow them not to update Windows, sorry. Yeah, that's a poor way of speaking, people. A lot of people liked the idea of not updating Windows. A lot of people are under the impression that it was safer. However, when you're not updating, you can't deal with things such as zero-day threats or different kinds of vulnerabilities that the computers can have. So by forcing people to update and patch their systems, you actually prevent them from getting issues with hackers. The problem is there's no dev team, and a privacy thing that I talked about that allows Microsoft to collect a bunch of telemetry is based on the idea that your updates will either brick or not brick or cause issues in your computer, which they will record and then fix later. So because you may run into the possibility that your computer becomes bricked, that might actually pose a serious issue of you not being able to use your freaking computer. So Microsoft, come on. I can understand collecting telemetry. I can understand forcing people to have updates, but don't brick our computers. The next undesirable functionality allows Microsoft to detect and disable counterfeit games, software, and hardware. And before everybody's head explodes, I will explain the software and the counterfeit games first. So first of all, this only applies to Office 365, Outlook.com, Skype, OneDrive, Xbox Live, MSN, Bing, and of course the Microsoft Store. That is it. any counterfeit games or software that are in your computer may be patched by Windows Update, which will force you to have an update. And if the update detects the counterfeit, it may actually just break it, making it disabled. So that is what's going to be happening, is they're going to affect their own products. So if you have counterfeit Microsoft stuff in your computer, you may want to figure out a way around their update scheme, which is currently impossible to do unless you have like an enterprise license. So good luck with that one. But it only affects that. So if you have any other games in your computers or software, whatever, that is not affected. Now, the last thing on that topic, though, is what we call the counterfeit or not certified hardware. So I'm holding one. I have another one somewhere around here. Big companies tend to have controllers and other hardware that are supposed to work. And this one, which I'm not going to show their name, says it works. The thing is Microsoft actually requires a certified, signed driver in order for that kind of hardware to work. So anything that has been modified, anything that's not genuine, may not work in Windows. Not necessarily because it's a fake, primarily because the manufacturer of the hardware did not develop a driver for this. So if this happens, I would suggest you go on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and on YouTube and email them and show up at their door and start banging their windows until they crack for them to get drivers done, so that this is not an issue for a very long time. I know it just came out, but a lot of these manufacturers did have time to build drivers and are not that hard. And if Asus can make a bunch of drivers for just about every single platform, including things such as a P5K, which is behind that curtain, that actually works because I tried it for the hell of it, yeah, anybody can get a driver to work in Windows 10 and have it tested and it would work. So that deals with the actually unauthorized hardware. And as for the last detail, and this is the thing that drives me up the wall and will only drive people who have an SLI multi-monitor surround configuration. So for those that have this, you will know what I'm talking about. When you restrict the taskbar to a singular screen and you click either the notification or the start menu, it will actually show up on either the extreme right or extreme left, depending on which one. So the start menu on extreme left and the notification, whatever they want to call that window, on the extreme right. What ends up happening is the fact that you actually see that the person who programmed it did not align it with the start menu, something people who build web pages have mastered for years. So that programmer, I would like to point out that you suck, because you did not actually think of that before and didn't even bother testing that part before. And I'm surprised that Microsoft put out such a poor rendering of a positional item. An item that you could have locked to the freaking taskbar, just like you do in websites. So that is the feature I hate. So if you haven't already subscribed, like, dislike, leave your comments down below. Even leave your horror stories down below for Windows 10 if you absolutely want to. If they're really good, I'll even put them on my website and share them on Facebook, Twitter, and on my Google+. And of course, don't forget to go to patreon.com/TQA Weekly to continue helping me out with this show. Have a great day and goodbye.